It's really hard to believe that it's been almost 2 years since I announced Trigger Happy Fighters to the world. It's like the most surreal feeling to me in the world. I remember when I first made the video and uploaded it on YouTube with the idea of releasing it in 2018 or 19, but boy was I dumb. How do I describe the progress of Trigger Happy Fighters? I guess very slow is a way to describe it. The image I'd use, how it all went is this, honestly. I guess I do owe everyone some sort of explanation as to why I haven't brought it up like all year. I made Trigger Happy Fights with the ambition that I make something out of it and hopefully inspire people or something, and I was determined to finish it really. But because life somehow makes its way to everything, I just ran into a buckload of problems. This might or might not be a long video, but regardless of how long it is, please bear with me because it is a lot to take in. Before we begin to just talk about these problems, I just want to explain a little backstory on the creation of Trigger Happy Fighters. Originally, it wasn't even a Danganronpa fan game. Its first concept was an anime fighting game that plays like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I was 14 at the time, and this is when I was going through my haha anime epic phase. And then early 2015 hit, and a friend introduced me to Danganronpa. My world became engulfed by this series, and by April of that year, the idea hit me. At first, I used Ultra Street Fighters Force character themes on the Danganronpa characters, and then I saw that I had my notebook nearby, so I just began to write down some concepts. I worked on Peko first, then Monokuma, then Mukuro, and from there I just worked on 25 different characters. My original idea was to start with these 25 characters and then add more characters as time goes on. All I had was a copy of the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 guidebook and my creativity to guide me. I taught myself frame data and all this complex mumble jumble, and I actually did it. I managed to complete the movesets. But when I finished the movesets, that's when all the problems began. Problem number one was the casting. To this day, I consider this the most embarrassing thing to ever happen to me, and this is still up on Behind the Voice Actor. So if you want to see the mess that unfolded, feel free. I don't care anymore. I remember the day I wrote these lines with a friend. It was New Year's Eve, and I was in a hurry because I had to go somewhere. So, to whoever may be watching this, answer me this and tell me if it makes sense. Rush the lines so I could get them out before the year ends and not proofreading them instead of literally just going to the wiki and copying and pasting the lines or take my time in writing quality lines. It doesn't make any sense why I just didn't do that. It doesn't help that half of the lines written were very out of character, and it was a really painful experience if I'm being honest. Um, it wasn't even a it wasn't even that hard of a problem to fix, but I was too lazy to even fix them. Okay, so what? Poorly written lines, big deal. It happens to a lot of us, right? I guess so. But when the casting began, I believed in the ideology of diversity is key. As in, I believe that no person should have more than three roles at most. That whole saying went down the toilet, didn't it? This ideology messed with me because I wanted to give everyone an equal chance, but brother, that didn't work at all. Because as I extended the deadlines more and more, I just ended up giving the role to people that already have roles because I became frustrated with how I handled the casting. Oh, the casting wasn't the only problem handled poorly though, which leads to problem number two: bad leadership in this organization. I actually handled the whole thing quite terribly, if I do say so myself. The main reason this happened was because of who I am as a person. On one hand, I consider myself a blind optimist. I have a strong sense of belief and follow that belief, but most of the time that belief gets me in a lot of trouble. But I still don't give up. That's just how I am. That's how I go on about my life. I work hard to get something because I believe I can do it. I guess because I get too optimistic, I get too ambitious. So in other words, I bite off more than I can chew, and I am very disorganized, really. And on the other hand,
I lack any sort of confidence in myself as a leader. I really failed to communicate my ideas and a successful demeanor, but I'll get more on that later. If any of the crew or cast are watching this, you remember that back when I first started, I was actually asking you guys if you were fine being unpaid. Most of you said you'd rather be paid, but are fine not being paid. But that put some pressure on me because I felt like I needed to pay you guys because, after all, the performance matters. The reason why this was such a big problem stressing me out was because the cast and the crew were incomplete. For one, I guess. I needed an artist, and I needed a program, and I needed people like that. I went on all sorts of websites to look for anyone who was willing to help. A large chunk did not work for free. Once again, if I had to commission an artist to uh, work for me, I felt like I needed to pay the voice actors because it was just really unfair for them not to get paid and me pay someone else. Well, they just it's just not fair for them. This led to another problem because there was no budget. I didn't and still don't make all that much cash to fund this project. I couldn't fund it any other way because it's illegal to fund a project like this. So I feel like I was on my own when it came to all of this. That is why I decided to cast the voice actors early. I was hoping that maybe one of them just so happened to be an artist or a programmer or anything like that. Unfortunately, they weren't, but that's fine. I don't want to pressure them to doing jobs they may or may not want to do. In fact, I mainly casted them because I wanted their creative input on some ideas, but that didn't work out because of another problem, which was problem number three: lack of communication between anyone. This one relates to the last problem, but I thought it was a big enough issue that I had to make it its own separate section. This is a mix of my bad leadership and disorganization. This is actually probably the biggest reason why not much was getting done. I wouldn't talk to anyone about anything because I was just too shy to approach them because I didn't have the confidence to do so. That in itself is kind of a red flag, but honestly, I don't know why I lack the confidence. The thing is, I'm friends with some of the people that I'd work here. And I'm close friends with Jeff, one of the writers, and the head writer as well. I'm good friends with Chris, our Gundam Tanaka, and Nathan, another writer and our voice director. I consider Naomi, our Aoi Yasuhina, and Celestia Ludenberg uh, and Cami, our composer friends, and every other person working was fantastic. They were great. I always viewed Trigger Happy Fighters as a team effort, but that just never happened. There was even an instance where I tried to get a little too close to one of the cast members, and that did not end well. It got to the point where I made this person very uncomfortable, and I deeply regret it. To this person, I'm sorry. In short, I wouldn't talk to anyone despite feeling comfortable talking to like a decent portion of the team. This is this was all me and only me, not doing anything about it. Everyone at work here was great, and I really highly encourage them to keep doing what they're doing because they will be something. I promise you. Problem number four: motivation. Oh boy, this is the final problem of Trigger Happy Fighters. I lose motivation for a very long time. There are sometimes instances where I feel like I have an idea, but I am nowhere near a computer to work on it. Then I get excited about it, and when I get home, the idea is still there, but the excitement is gone. And I can pinpoint the day where that started, where it all began. When I lost my motivation. I got home one day from school and find that some of my character data was missing because my mom had thrown it away. This devastated me because now I had to start all over on some of the characters, and from that day on, progress severely slowed. What was once a fun hobby and something I found joy turned into work, and it became very tedious and tiring. And before I knew it, Ultra Despair Girls came out, and so did Danganronpa 3 and Danganronpa V3. And with these new installments to the series came new characters. Next thing I knew, I had so many ideas for these characters that wouldn't even be playable from the start, and I would focus on them instead of the main cast. It doesn't help now that I'm in wrestling and coming home late and exhausted. Another thing that just sort of kills me personally is the day I casted the voice actors, and seeing that the guy running this goes by the name Lemmy with fancy text. I hate having that word in my name, but I also have a personal attachment to the name, which is why I refused to move it until recently. But even then, it's still in the description of my Twitter. I think about it, what if they don't take this project as seriously as I do because of this silly name? That just digs at me, honestly. Another thing, when I first started working on the project, I have just gotten into fighting games around maybe December of 2015. I was passionate about fighting games, but slowly and slowly, I feel like I didn't enjoy fighting games as much as I used to. Eventually, that passion burned out. All this blends together into me losing my motivation for the project. The aftermath. Trigger Happy Fighter still does mean a lot to me, since it really did change me a lot as a person. I made some major mistakes and messed up, but I really did learn a lot from it. I found out a lot of things about myself and have very fond memories on it, if I'm being honest with myself. That's why I refused to cancel it and give up. I don't want to cancel it, but let's just face the facts. At this rate, this is going nowhere. It really is a project with bad leadership and disorganization, no communication between anyone, lack of motivation, and no passion. It's not going to last. It's just facts. So, am I canceling this project? If I can finish the project before an official Danganronpa fighting games announce, then no, I won't cancel it. But if said game is released before I can finish Trigger Happy Fighters, then that's it. I'm pulling the plug in this project. I can't keep working on a project that will probably never happen. I'm not asking for pity, nor am I trying to guilt trip people, but I just want to ask those who supported me, the crew, and the cast, to forgive me. I'm, I'm sorry that for about 2 years I let you all to nowhere because I didn't realize how much of a responsibility this project would be if and yeah, I'm sorry. If you actually made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you for hearing me out. And also thank you to those who put up with me for these past years. That's all I had to say to you guys. Once again, I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. I still got ways to go. I really do.